Investment advisory services are offered through PCM Advisory, LLC, DBA Precision Capital Management, and SEC Registered Investment Advisor. The firm only transacts business in states where it is properly registered or is excluded or exempted from registration requirements. SEC registration is not an endorsement of the firm by the Commission and does not mean that the advisor has attained a specific level of skill or ability.
Welcome to Navigating Retirement with Rick Durkee.
And welcome into the program. This is Navigating Retirement with Charleston's resource for a common sense approach to planning. He is the founder and CEO at the Coastal Financial Planning Group. Rick Durkee here with us. Well, with us virtually. Rick, seeing you over the computer is great. Welcome back.
Thank you, Peter. And we are practicing social distancing right now, getting our message out, and hey, it works this way, right?
It's nice just to see a human face at this point, Rick.
This is the new normal here for post-COVID days. Yep.
Indeed. Well, yep. Rick, obviously a lot has gone on over the past several months. Pandemic status and a lot of the economy essentially just shut down here. People are rightfully worried, concerned, but at the same time, there are fundamentals in financial planning that are still tried and true, regardless of our condition, still stand in today's economy and today's environment, and want to give a little message of hope here because people aren't getting it anywhere else. That help is on the way. There are programs starting to trickle in.
Mm-hmm. We're seeing for business people, we're seeing the disaster relief opportunities that are available. I did pass that information on to several of our clients and prospective clients this week. And I would like to share a resource here for those that are in the local area. The South Carolina Small Business Development Center helps to line you up with opportunities to be able to apply for these SBA loans and these opportunities to be able to provide for your employees and whatnot. If you would like information on that, certainly send us a text to Rick D at 555-888, and we'll help you with that information. Secondly, the CARES Act has loosened up a lot of liquidity and capital in our retirement accounts and whatnot. Yep. So like to share with you some of that positive information. We do know that we don't want to spend down all of our retirement assets, but if we could temporarily borrow them and pay them back and have opportunity for that, then as individuals and non-business owners, now we're talking, there's opportunity there. We just got our first checks, delivered by the method of electronic transfer into accounts for those of you that filed electronically in last year's tax returns or this year's, and the government had your record, the IRS had your record of your bank account. So opportunity there for individuals to start seeing a little cash flow to pay some of the bills and start the process of getting back on positive footing going forward.
Trying to stabilize the economy and stabilize the American families. I mean, because obviously, Rick, you've talked about it many times, income is the foundation on which all other financial progress is built. And a lot of people have lost their income. So I do want to remind listeners, viewers, that if you have questions, if you have concerns, if you want to know how to locate any of these resources that we are about to discuss or file the correct paperwork, Rick, his team at Coastal Financial Planning Group are there to help and assist. Give them a call. Easy way to start the conversation, 800-491-6220, 800-491-6220. But Rick, I mean, this is really the reason why you've talked about the necessity of having an emergency account is just to cover unexpected events. And you can't do it after you've already lost your job. There's help for those in that situation that is beginning to trickle through, but this is why we've got to be proactive in our planning.
Yeah, we do. And we know that 3 to 6 months of an emergency fund is really what is critical right now for people to be able to have that set aside for times like this. I've said it now a few times on radio and some recent times with clients and prospective clients is that we really need to think about this from a perspective of, if you knew that this was going to happen 30 days ago, would you believe where we are today?
Wow.
Would you understand that this is not a sci-fi movie, that it's reality, that it did happen, and our whole life is going to change?
Yeah.
Now, that can be a scary thing for those that weren't prepared, that didn't have that 3 to 6 months of savings set aside. But it can also be an opportunity for those that did to look at, how can I make sure I get through these next 60 to 90 days and maybe shift some of these monies that I'll be able to have into things that'll help me be better in the long run.
Yeah.
Invest now into things that we know are going to pay off later. Maybe start up a new business right now if you're out of business, start out a business that is going to be very useful going forward post COVID-19.
Yeah. Well, my wife always tells me with emergency comes creativity. And I think that in times of stress before, it's been proven that many new enterprises start up and become very successful during times like this. So maybe not a bad time to consider starting something new. But again, there is help on the way. Rick, we have seen that the first rounds of unemployment checks have begun to get paid, hit bank accounts. The stimulus checks are on the way. And that's all part of that CARES Act, the $2 trillion bill that passed.
My wife's a flight attendant for Delta. She's on unemployment now. She took a 2-month leave, and she's just getting her first unemployment check this week.
Yep.
So
Yep.
Yeah.
So a little bit of liquidity, a little bit of money and income. Again, income being the basis of financial security. But Rick, to help small businesses, as part of that CARES Act was the Paycheck Protection Program. This is more than right at $350 billion that is specifically designated for small businesses to help cover their expenses, payroll and overhead, and in turn help to cover their employees' salaries so that they can maintain those employees, keep employees on payroll during this time.
Right. And as I mentioned in our weekly podcast to our clients, we're fully operational here. My folks are working from home, and they got their paychecks today because we're the first of the month. And so we're blessed that we're able to do that. But there's a lot of people out there that might not have that same opportunity. And so we know that income is critical for us in our working years. It's certainly critical for us in our retirement years also. And so if that gets disrupted, we've got to have a plan in place that takes care of this before it happens, not after it happens.
Great point.
Yeah.
And I think makes a great analogy, Rick. You've been talking for years on the Navigating Retirement program that we have to be proactive in formulating a lifetime retirement income plan. And I think that this, in a smaller sense, really illustrates that we could not wait to fund that emergency account until after we've lost our job. We cannot wait until after we voluntarily walk away from our paycheck and retire to formulate that income plan. We've got to do it ahead of time and be proactive.
Yeah, 5 to 10 years is a good guideline for being able to do that. And so we look at that as an opportunity for us to be able to plan out for this roadmap to retirement, okay, instead of the roadmap through retirement. And so we meet with people that are in their 50s and their 60s or early 60s that are pre-retirement and give them solutions to what they can do to make sure they have that proper income plan in place. Of course, supported by some of the theories that we've supported on Navigating Retirement for many years called income allocation.
Yeah, Rick,
it's all about the income.
I laugh because good reference to the old radio program title, Your Roadmap to Retirement, and then it was Game Plan for Retirement, Income Allocation, and now it's Navigating Retirement. So you've taken a full progression there as well.
Yeah, and we've been doing this now for 17 years, Pete, helping people here in the Low Country, and now with the virtual presence that we have, we're helping people across the country. So always looking for that opportunity to help someone else. If you do listen to this podcast, it's easy to forward to your friends and family and share this information. And we look forward to helping anyone that's in need of some good, sound financial advice.
Yeah, great point. Ladies and gentlemen, as a result of less travel, another byproduct of that, a side effect, is that not many people are listening to radio right now. If you think about it, where did you listen to your radio programs? Probably in transit, right? To or from work or some activities. So if you find any of the information on the Navigating Retirement podcast helpful, if you think that your friends or neighbors or loved ones would find that helpful, I encourage you on the internet to go ahead and visit cfpgroup.biz. It is Rick Durkee and the Coastal Financial Planning Group's website. The podcasts are always uploaded and archived there. It's your easiest central source to find the podcast, and they are available on all of your major podcast platforms, your favorite iTunes, iHeart, SoundCloud, Spotify, Stitcher. Subscribe so you get the update when new editions of Navigating Retirement are made available. And if you would, again, if you found any of this information helpful, share that with your circle of friends and on your social media pages. The Navigating Retirement podcast, I think, Rick, each and every week you strive to provide helpful information that the workers and savers and those taking their planning and their financial future seriously in and around Charleston and Lowcountry can benefit from. So cfpgroup.biz. Or if you would like a specific individual look at your situation and what opportunities there are, what strategies you should consider implementing, pick up the phone and give Rick Durkee and the Coastal Financial Planning Group a call, 800-491-6220, 800-491-6220. But Rick, with the CARES Act, with the Paycheck Protection Program, even with the Emergency Family Medical Leave Act and the Emergency Paid Sick Leave Act, employees likely requesting some paid leave to recover from illness, observe quarantine requirements, assist family members, or even care for children whose school schedule obviously has been disrupted. It's part of those provisions that employers are required to pay that leave, but employers also will receive a dollar-for-dollar refundable tax credit for that. And so you can help people find all the documentation, know what documents they need to have in order to benefit from that on either side. Rick, a couple other provisions of that CARES Act. People have access to money in their retirement accounts if need be. Now, there's some pros and cons there.
Right.
But they can access it if they need it.
Yeah, there are some pros and cons. Of course, it creates the liquidity. The con would be that we get out of the market right now when it's at a low point, and if it rebounds, that money's not working as hard as it could be for you to rebound.
Those dollars might not recover. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
So we have to think about the positives and the negatives of anything. But if it creates the liquidity that you need, then certainly it would be worth discussing. Going through a 3-step review process to evaluate how this financial decision will affect you from an income tax planning standpoint. And what was just shared with you about the CARES Act is that this money would be available to you without paying taxes on it, but there's some provisions about how that money has to be put back in and how and what the ramifications are of that and everything. And then there's even an opportunity that if you do take the money out and you decide you want to keep it out and pay taxes on it, there's an opportunity to spread those taxes out over, I believe it's 3 years. Now,
Yep.
this is tax advice, and we always suggest that you consult your tax attorney or tax CPA or whatever for the details on this. But from the financial planning standpoint, it's a great opportunity to look at is, could I make this money work harder for me right now? Then it might bounce back in the market. Then the market might take a while to bounce back or something like that. And it helps make ends meet now, and then I can put it back in the future. So a lot of details, a lot of things that have to be thought through. But let me remind you, every financial decision that you need to make can be done properly and in your best interest if you have a process that evaluates these three questions. Number one, how will this affect me from an income tax planning standpoint? Number two, how will it affect me from my income needs standpoint? Right. And number three, what risks are involved? And if you evaluate all three of those areas in our three-step review, you will find that you'll make a sound financial decision that's based on your best interest and your best interest at heart. And then you'll know when you make this financial decision, it's not something that you have to rewind or unwind because it made a big mess for you that you wish you would have never done in the first place.
Now, not everybody has this as their full-time profession, has the desire to spend that much time or attention on this. Now, it may be more of a necessity.
Because it's hard to find the information, Peter.
It's
hard to find the facts.
But that's why we find you, Rick, because you know this stuff. You are well-versed, and you provide that qualified professional guidance, that perspective, and you've not seen this just one time in my unique situation. You've seen these things, you've helped people through these decisions many, many, many times over. The benefit of experience. I saw them happen
twice from 2000 to 2010, so I'm kind of becoming a veteran at this. I don't know if you can tell by my video now, but I turned 60 last June. So I've been doing this about 26 years now. So I've seen the ups and downs of the market and what it can do. And I also know the importance of preparedness before these events happen. Yeah. Okay. That's the key. Yep. If you knew what was going to happen 3-4 weeks ago, would you done things differently then to avoid the problems that you see now?
Absolutely.
Okay? One of those big things is what you said, Peter. Make sure we've got an emergency account available. That cash is king. Yeah. Cash is king. Right now, if you are sitting on a big lump sum of cash that you maybe had 6 months ago or something like that, you're in the driver's seat because you can invest in things right now and buy on the cheap.
Yeah.
There's plenty of opportunity.
Well, I think that there are several financial fundamentals, strategies for long-term success, Rick, that work no matter what the economic or market conditions. Have a income that you can rely and depend on, whether it's your paycheck or a specific lifetime retirement income plan. Be able to depend on that income. 2, dollar cost averaging works. If you've got that income in place, right now is a great time to be investing. Rebalance on an ongoing basis, probably a key as well, Rick. And I know you do that a lot with your clients there at Coastal Financial Planning Group. And Roth conversion strategies. A lot of people did this in 2008 and 2009. Rick, another good time to maybe proactively pay some taxes in advance. I mean, of course, we'd rather have all of our money, but would you rather pay tax on $100,000 or $70,000? I'd rather have the $100,000, but I'd rather pay tax on the $70,000.
Hey, and another thing, I want to reach out to that listener right now that's telling me this story. Okay, hey, I didn't want to cash in those after-tax dollars before because they had such big gains in them, and I was going to have to pay taxes on them. Okay, so I'm sorry, but I'm just going to let that tax tail wag the dog. I'm not going to cash in those investments. They're okay. They're going up, and now the market goes down, and the value in those non-qualified assets goes down, and we don't have the tax liability that we had before. What a great opportunity to reposition, right? You don't pay taxes, you buy in low, and you buy into the investments that are going to do best now over the next 10 years. Yeah. So it's a perfect time. Don't let the decision that the market went down now and it's a bad time to cash out, because you're not giving yourself any opportunity. You wouldn't do it when the taxes were going to get paid, and now you're not going to do it because the stock market dropped down. No, you got to find the opportunity, and there's great opportunity right now.
Be proactive, though, folks. You need to make sure that you are thinking ahead. Rick, I've heard that a lot of people right now are scrambling for life insurance, didn't have an appropriate amount of life insurance, didn't have life insurance in place. Well, guess what? Underwriting is behind at this point in time because the nurses aren't available to do the typical health screenings. Now, I know that you've got access to plenty of great companies that can streamline this process, but it's another example of where we need to think about things ahead of time and identify opportunities to do things at optimal times, not at the worst time when we're under stress in an emergency.
Hey, this was right after college. I went to work for a fella and he was a mentor for me and he taught me a lot of good business lessons. And one of the lessons that he told me was, he said, I've failed at a lot of businesses before. Remember that Colonel Sanders, I think, asked to sell his recipe over 1,000 times before somebody finally took it. So, he was about at failure state there. And, but here's the thing, this business owner said, every time my business fails, for my family's sake, I take out a life insurance policy for how much I just lost. Okay. So you just lost some money in the market. Maybe you had a good bit. Maybe you still got a good bit left. Why don't you take a little bit of those dollars and leverage them and put them on a life insurance policy and guarantee that your family will still get that money whether the market comes back or not.
Yep.
And they'll get tax-free dollars. So there you go, a life insurance idea for you today.
Well, another provision of that CARES Act, Rick, is, and this won't benefit everybody because I think the majority of people taking money out of their IRAs and retirement accounts probably need it. But there's some select number that don't need to. They're forced to. At a certain point in time, the IRS requires us to take money from those retirement accounts. Well, for 2020, that requirement has been waived.
Yeah, and that is an extension of what was already given to our retirement people that we speak to on Navigating Retirement all the time. And the Secure Act gave the required minimum distribution an extension from 70.5 to 72. So you're already able to waylay your required minimum distributions. But now for anybody, whether they've started those required minimum distributions, whether it's a beneficiary IRA maybe that you inherited or your own IRA, you're able to skip the required minimum distribution in 2020. So the government's saying, hey, why should we penalize them? The market's down. They're going to have to take out a lot more shares to get those same dollars out right now. Right. Why should we penalize them? And that's the penalty that you need to pay close attention to if you're in retirement. Okay. And you have to take money out of that stock account right now when the stock share prices are low. You're going to have to cash in a lot more shares to get that same dollar to live on. So,
especially since the calculation is based on the December 31st value. Yep. We were at much higher values back on December 31st than we are today.
Yeah. Yeah. Anytime you have to take an income stream out of investments, and a required minimum distribution is an income stream, you don't want to be penalized by a market drop.
Nope.
And so thank goodness the CARES Act gives our retirement investors an opportunity to let that stock market rebound come now for another year before they have to take out the required minimum distribution.
Absolutely. Well, Rick, again, a lot has gone on over the past few months. There's a lot to take in. People are nervous, scared. It's an eerie mix of boredom and panic, I think, among a lot of people. But even in times like this, sound financial strategies work for the long term. We want to be prepared, not surprised. We want to be proactive in planning, and we want to identify opportunities when they present themselves. So let's make sure that that paycheck and that income is secure. Let's dollar cost average during our working career. Let's save on a regular basis. Now's a great time to buy. Let's rebalance. Let's do those Roth conversions. Let's understand, if any of those are in jeopardy, where we've got the opportunity to help support ourselves and our family and our lifestyle. Plenty of help on the way with the stimulus. There are opportunities there for employees, for employers, for small businesses. If you need to know where to turn, what paperwork is required, turn to Rick Durkee and the Coastal Financial Planning Group. If you want a planning review, an investment account evaluation, if you want to go through that 3-step process and that review and that strategy session, pick up the phone and give Rick Durkee a call. 800-491-6220 is the number to call. 800-491-6220. 800-491-6220. But most important, Rick, I think, we want people to stay safe, healthy, and do what they can and need to stay on their feet. I know that for you, helping people in their planning has always been about that, and it's a big part of it in the past. It's a big part of it today.
It is, and so we ask you to all abide by the governors in the states that you live in wishes, by our White House and their advice. Let's come out of this on the backside and look forward to that over the hill and over the hump. and let's take heed to the information that's provided to you in this show and the other resources that you have through the Coastal Financial Planning Group. Call us today, any day. We'll answer the phones. We're here, and we are one of those essential businesses that right now we can provide essential financial planning advice to you.
cfpgroup.biz is the website. The number to call Rick Durkee and the Coastal Financial Planning Group is 800-491-6220. We appreciate you tuning in. Visit cfpgroup.biz to hear this podcast again. Subscribe to future podcasts. Get the links to share this information with your friends, neighbors, and loved ones. Stay safe. Stay healthy, everybody. Thank you for tuning in.
Catch more of Rick Durkee and Navigating Retirement by visiting cfpgroup.biz.
While we believe the information in this broadcast is reliable, we cannot guarantee its accuracy. Opinions expressed are subject to change without notice and are not intended as investment advice or solicitation for the purchase or sale of any security. Please consult your financial professional before making any investment decisions. Investment advisory services are offered through Fusion Capital Management, an SEC-registered investment advisor. SEC registration is not an endorsement of the firm by the Commission and does not mean that the advisor has attained a specific level of skill or ability. Investment in securities or the market involves a potential risk for loss of principal. Trading, therefore, may not be suitable for all listeners. Annuity guarantees are based solely on the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing company. Withdrawals of growth from annuities may be taxable as ordinary income in the year it is taken. Individuals should review contracts for specific details of the product's features and costs. Early withdrawals may subject the owner to penalties, fees, or taxes.
Fiduciary duty extends solely to investment advisory advice and does not extend to other activities such as insurance or broker-dealer services. Advisory clients are charged a fee for assets under management, while insurance products pay a commission, which may result in a conflict of interest regarding compensation.